Hello, internet world. Sorry that I was a little bit late. I was out practicing what I preach, which I feel like I said last week too. So it's just interesting that I don't know that we would come to this place 2 weeks in a row. So hopefully I didn't put a stick in any of your days by being a little bit late today. That being said, what was I doing this morning? I was going for a walk and calling people. Two habits that I've worked really hard to embed into my life lately. Pre-COVID, I would have never had time to walk before work. And I also would have never chosen to call people. I'm like, text me or talk to my face, but please don't ask me to talk on the phone. So I've had to actually work to develop those things into my life using the strategies I've shared in past instances. You know, I put it on a schedule, starting small, walk once a week, call someone once a week. You know, seems simple, but that's where I had to start. And then once that became comfortable and automatic, then I upped those daily or weekly numbers. But what happened was walking was easier. So it got to a point where it was walk 5 days a week, call 2 people, call twice a week. But yeah, those are all on past episodes. Today I want to talk to you about why. Why is it important to put the time and effort into developing habits, and how? How do we know which ones? And I came across a way to illustrate it while doing dishes, another habit I had to build into my life intentionally, which, side note, let's just press pause here. I will digress. I actually had to Pavlov dog style my dish doing, which just means every time I did the dishes, I played my favorite playlist. And then I would never listen to that playlist except when I was doing dishes. That way it got to a point where I was excited to do dishes because it meant I got to listen to that playlist. So it's like, you know, trick yourself. Anyways, we digress. What the heck does a sponge have to do with productivity? When my sponge is dry and shriveled, if I set it on the counter, it's going to go out of its way to soak up whatever water is there. I know this is positive in productivity, but our emotional wellness ties right into how positive we can be and also into how productive we can be. If the sponge is me, when I'm running on empty, I will seek the easiest and nearest solution to fill me up. Okay? So that is a huge discussion when it comes to life, but I'll keep it relevant to productivity. When I'm running on empty and I have a bunch of tasks to do, I'm going to do the quickest and easiest ones, right? So I have a huge paper due, a huge project for work. It's going to take hours and hours of attention and time, but I have, ironically, dishes to do or maybe laundry to fold. Well, when I'm feeling empty, those quick tasks are going to fill me up easily. Like, oh, I'll do laundry, feel accomplished. Do the dishes, feel accomplished. But meanwhile, there's this lurking sense of, I have this really big project to do and it's weighing me down because it's stressing me out. So how do we fix that? Well, if I don't want my sponge to soak up the easy, quick things, then I need to keep it full, right? So what can I do to fill my sponge so that I'm only gonna go out and soak up the things that I intentionally seek? So I'm going to say my sponge is full. I'm going to squeeze it out, share that with the world. I'm going to sop this next thing up. Let's take it out of this abstract metaphor and talk about specifics. If I have this big project to do for work and I'm running on empty and I'm consuming my time with little tasks because that makes me feel good, I get the dopamine hit of a task well done, but that project's stressing out back here. I have to be intentional about engaging with that project. But I'm only going to be able to do so when I am full. Then I can be fully present and fully available and give full energy. That's where the realm of work stops, and I have to go into the realm of my personal life. I have to fill myself energetically and emotionally before I can give it away. So today's Positive and productive strategy is embedding specific things into your routine before work to allow you to be full. I can't tell you what that is. This is where my advice stops and your personal experience and advice comes in. If you are at a place where you're like, I don't know what the heck fills me up, like those little tasks, that's all I know that brings me joy, then great. You have the unique opportunity to go on an exploratory journey and experience who you are from a new perspective. If you're at that phase where you're not sure what fills your sponge, I want you to get a piece of paper. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to write down the first 7 things that come to mind that bring you joy. I don't care how silly they are. I don't care how irrelevant they seem to work or productivity. I don't care if you haven't done those things in 20 years. What are 7 things that bring you joy? The next step, which this will be familiar to anyone who already knows, like say you already knew, you didn't have to reflect on that. Which ones can I do on a daily basis? So Vinny brings up his morning rituals are essential to life, period. Not just productivity, but life. Agreed. Yeah, so for example, one thing that brings me joy is riding my dirt bike. I don't have one anymore, but if I did, it would still bring me joy. Like it's a part of who I am. I cannot ride my dirt bike before work every morning. So I have to look for something else that's easily embedded in my ritual. And for me, that looks like having fellowship with like-minded humans and going for a peaceful walk all by myself. So once you know what fills you up, find and identify one you can embed into your day and intentionally build it into your habits. Don't go for the all or nothing thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to do it every single day, because you're going to hit failure and that's going to frustrate you and make it more difficult to be motivated. Start small with something that will help you win. I'm going to walk once a week. I'm going to journal 3 times a week. I'm going to journal for 1 minute every day. And then you can bump that up to 5 minutes, whatever. You know you better than anybody else. You know the places where you get caught up, your bad habits, your barriers, actually, let's call them. I don't want to label anything good or bad. And you also know what works for you and what has worked for you in the past. So that's it. You have to fill your sponge, not only so that you can give it away, right? It's similar to that story of you have to fill your cup. Like if your cup's empty, you won't have anything to pour for others. But I like the image of the sponge more because it has this other side. If your cup isn't full, you're going to grab the easiest, quickest thing to fill it. And I like the image of a sponge because literally I can picture like setting it down next to a little pool of water on the counter after doing dishes, and it just automatically soaks it up, whether I wanted it to or not. So in that way, you also have to be careful where you're placed, where you are and what you're doing when you're feeling empty. But again, that's like a whole other life conversation. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat. You can always get a hold of me on Facebook Messenger. Have a conversation. Like if you have questions, chances are someone else had the same question but didn't ask. That being said, my dogs are going wild. I have other responsibilities to get to. I love and appreciate you all, but I'm going to end this broadcast before they go nuts barking. I love you all and have a great Monday.